just can't get my sense of safety back. So it was a Friday night, about 11 o'clock, and my kids were asleep in bed upstairs. I've got 3 of them. And I was just finishing doing the washing up when all of a sudden my landlord forced his way into my house. And he was stood in the kitchen. He was armed with a crowbar in one hand and an electric drill in the other, screaming at me to get out. And then he kicked me in the stomach. And as I was lying there, I could hear my 8-year-old boy screaming out of his bedroom window for help. The neighbours heard, they came running across, and someone rang the police. And when the police arrived, they seemed to arrest everybody, took everyone away. So me and my kids were left on our own, sitting on the stairs. So earlier on in the week, my landlord had put a handwritten note through my door telling me to get out. It came completely out of the blue. It wasn't an eviction notice, it was a threat. But I've got 3 kids, I mean, where am I supposed to go? A charity worker told me that it wasn't legal for him to put me out like that, so she helped me get an emergency injunction. Well, I thought emergency injunctions were used in cases of domestic violence. The notice had to be served to him, so I had to give it to him in his hand, which was impossible because he'd never given me an address. I didn't know where he lived. You know, it was really stressful trying to make sense of all this legal process when it felt like my world was falling apart. So I had to wait for him to come to me, which he did on that Friday night, in the worst way imaginable. I tried to hand him the piece of paper before he kicked me. I also tried to show the police, but by this point it was all ripped and crumpled, and you know, the judge had promised me that the police had helped me, but when I handed them the piece of paper, they didn't seem to know what it was. My landlord managed to convince the police that he was the victim of assault, so they took him away, and all the neighbours. They arrested my neighbours too, and everybody had gone. I tried to recover. I tried to calm down. I took my kids back to bed. I couldn't sleep myself, of course, so I came back downstairs. And I sat by the window just looking out onto the street, on guard. And it was, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And I heard footsteps on the pavement outside, and it was my landlord walking towards the house. It was him. He was there again, and yet the people who had saved me, rescued me, weren't. It was just me and my kids and him on our own. I thought I was going to be sick. He stops outside the door and he took out of the bin the crowbar and the electric drill, which he must have thrown in there to hide them when the police had arrived. And then he stopped and he turned around and then he just walked away. My neighbours weren't released until the following afternoon. You know, it took over a year for them to be told that they weren't going to be prosecuted. In that time, I took my landlord to court for a civil claim for damages with the help of legal aid, and the judge upheld my claim and said that my landlord had just lied and lied and lied and lied. You know, to this day, there's been no police investigation. My landlord hasn't been prosecuted for what he did to me. which makes me think that the police don't see the illegal things that landlords do as crimes. That because they own the property, they can do what they like. They're immune. Anyway, I've moved now, and I know that rationally I'm safe, but sometimes I just can't shake the fear that it's going to happen again. That I can hear someone outside the front door. I just can't get my sense of safety back.